When you talk about rivalries in football, Liverpool versus Man United always be right up there as one of the fiercest in England and the world. It doesn't matter what form the teams are in at the time. Whenever the Reds go up against the Red Devils, sparks fly. It's been this way for many years, and it's not changing anytime soon. But how did Liverpool versus United become football's biggest rivalry? First, for those who live outside of the UK, you should know that these two clubs are close to each other. Liverpool and Manchester are both in the northwest of England, and the two cities are just about 35 miles apart, so in a way, this feels like a local derby. Now, the rivalry between the football clubs started from a beef between the cities which dates back to the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. In the beginning, Manchester was the major city, with a higher population and an economic edge. But towards the late 18th century, Liverpool became a major seaport, and off the back of that, the city grew to become bigger than Manchester. They started to refer to Liverpool as the British Empire's second city. So, from time, there'd always been some form of rivalry between these two neighboring cities. And as expected, that translated into football. Between the 18th and 19th century, United and Liverpool were sort of yo-yo clubs. One season, they're in the top flight winning major trophies, the next they're in the second division, fighting for their lives. However, after the Second World War, these clubs began to find some stability. United were the first to get on top, thanks to the management of Matt Busby, who, interestingly, was a former Liverpool captain. Seeing the success that United were enjoying, Liverpool's chairman wanted to compete as well. So he called Bill Shankly and asked him, "How would you like to manage the best club in the country?" Guess what Shankly said in response? He asked, "Is Busby packing it in?" So yeah, there was already a rivalry back then, but it wasn't full-blown just yet. Anyway, Shankly took the job and got Liverpool back to the top flight in 1962. And this was when the red-hot rivalry started. In the 4 years between 1964 and 1967, the league title was won by either Liverpool or United. One defining moment of this rivalry was the 1965 FA Charity Shield game. It featured both clubs, and the game ended 2-2. Back then, there was no extra time or penalties, so if the game ended in a draw, both teams would share the shield. And that was exactly what happened. Liverpool and United shared the trophy, showing how inseparable they were at the time. But shortly after that, they started to take turns to achieve success. Liverpool enjoyed 20 years of immense success. Between 1972 and 1992, they won 11 league titles, 7 European trophies, and 19 domestic cups. They were the best team in the land, and up there as one of the best in Europe. United came in as the underdogs to overthrow Liverpool as the best team in the land. And this was pretty much how the modern-day rivalry between these clubs began to develop. The feeling among Liverpool fans during this time was that United were media darlings who got too much glamour and media publicity, but did not have the success on the pitch to match it. This was why Liverpool fans started to mockingly call Manchester United the Glams. But that success that the Red Devils lacked began to come after United hired Sir Alex Ferguson in 1986. He didn't hit the ground running, but with time he was able to turn United into a competitive team that started to compete for all the titles. United and Liverpool were part of the founding members of the Premier League, but it was United who won the first ever Premier League title in 1993. Before that, they'd gone 26 years without a league title, but the new era was kind to them, while being cruel to Liverpool. You see, before 1992, Liverpool had won 18 league titles, while Man United had won just 7. The Reds also won 4 Champions League titles, while the Red Devils only had 1. But the tides completely turned in the 90s. Manchester United became the more successful club during this period, while Liverpool were on the decline. It was almost as if they switched destinies. Do you think United going 26 years without a league title was crazy? Liverpool decided to stretch it even further and make it 30. During this period, the trophy gap between these two was closed. United won 13 Premier League trophies in the first 20 years of the league's existence, which took their total tally for league titles to 20, while Liverpool was still stuck at 18. The Reds would eventually break their 30-year league title drought in 2020, with their first Premier League title to take their total tally to 19. This puts both Manchester United and Liverpool right at the top as the two most successful clubs in England. with 20 and 19 titles to their names respectively. In Europe, however, Liverpool managed to secure their advantage. Like we said earlier, as far as the Champions League or European Cups were concerned, it was 4-1 to Liverpool before the 90s. United won it in 1999 to close the gap slightly, but Liverpool extended it again with success in 2005. United would win it yet again in 2009, but Liverpool also then went on to win it 10 years later in 2019, leaving the tally at 6-3 to date, which means that Liverpool still have the edge on United in Europe. The success of these two teams has fueled this rivalry over the years. In the 52 years between 1972 and 2024, the top two positions in the English top flight have featured neither Liverpool nor United on only 8 occasions. And on 7 of those 8 occasions, one of these two teams won one trophy or another. Liverpool won the European Cup and League Cup in 1981. United won the FA Cup in 2004. Liverpool won the Champions League in 2005. United won the FA Cup in 2016, then won the League Cup and Europa League in 2017. The Red Devils won the League Cup again in 2023, and then the FA Cup in 2024. But while conversations about trophies will always be vital, that isn't even where you see the real passion and feel the real heat of this rivalry. We'll tell you about all that in a second, but if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now, the real heat of this rivalry is felt during games. Every rivalry has games that shape the entire contention, and this one between Liverpool and United is no different. Through the years, there have been some games that have shaped this rivalry, and we'll tell you about a few of them. We've already looked at the FA Charity Shield game in 1965, which ended up with the two teams sharing the trophy. Then there was the 1977 FA Cup final, which ended in a 2-1 win for United, despite Liverpool being favourites going into the game. That singular result ended up being more monumental than it seemed at the beginning. You see, Liverpool had already won the league title that season, and they would go on to win the European Cup just days after. So, you know what that means? If Liverpool had won that FA Cup final, they would have become the first English team to complete the European treble. But United stopped them from doing that, and then went on to become the first English team to achieve that feat 22 years later. Pretty crazy, isn't it? These two met again in another final in 1983. This time, it was the League Cup. And this time, it was Liverpool who won, after pulling off a comeback against the Red Devils. This victory was particularly sweet for the Reds. You know why? Because it was Bob Paisley's last season before retirement. You see, Paisley is one of the most important figures in Liverpool's history, and for him to win a trophy by beating Manchester United in his last moments as a coach was significant. There was also the incredible comeback United pulled off at Anfield in Ferguson's first full season in 1988. Liverpool had a 3-1 lead in the second half, but United were able to come out with a 3-3 draw. Then the reverse happened in 1994, with Liverpool coming back from a 3-0 deficit to leave with a 3-3 draw in the Premier League. Oh, and what about that time in 1995, when Eric Cantona was returning from his 8-month ban for his kung fu kick in the game against Crystal Palace? His first game back was against Liverpool, and he converted a penalty in the 71st minute to force a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. Later that year, both teams met in the FA Cup final, and it was Eric Cantona once again. This time though, it wasn't an equaliser. It was an 85th minute winner to clinch the trophy for United. They met again in the League Cup final in 2003, and this time goals from Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen helped Liverpool win the trophy. Then fast forward to 2009, when Liverpool inflicted upon United their largest home defeat in 17 years, with a 4-1 win at Old Trafford. However, that didn't stop United from winning the Premier League that season and equaling Liverpool's record of 18 league titles. But these games were not just about performances and results. Some of them were purely about drama. Like in 2012, when Suarez refused to shake Evra's hand following an 8-game ban, which he suffered for racially abusing Evra in a previous game. After United won that game, Evra made sure to go and celebrate right in front of Suarez after full time. It was pure drama. absolute cinema. But of course, in all of this, we can't forget the first time that these two went up against each other on the European stage. Sadly, it was not the Champions League. It was the round of 16 of the Europa League in 2016, and Liverpool beat United 3-1 on aggregate, and even went all the way to the final of that tournament. However, in recent times, this fixture has looked less and less like a rivalry. In October 2021, United suffered their biggest ever home defeat to Liverpool when the Reds won 5-0 at Old Trafford in a Premier League meeting. Then, in March 2023, Liverpool went one further by demolishing United 7-0 at Anfield in the Premier League. But United have not exactly taken all this lying down. They reacted by knocking Liverpool out of the 2024 FA Cup with a 122nd minute winner in what was one of the most dramatic FA Cup fixtures in recent history. Right now, Liverpool seems to be on top in this rivalry. They've won the Premier League and Champions League more recently than their rivals, but the tables could still turn, as they've always done. So, Liverpool fans, you better not get too arrogant. But let's be honest, fans just cannot help themselves, especially in a heated rivalry like this. They make sure to take every opportunity to mock and banter their opponents, with chants in the stadiums and posts on social media. And, of course, the media make sure to keep the fire of this rivalry burning, with their headlines and reports before and after every meeting between these two, regardless of the competition. But let's face it, this rivalry does deserve all the hype. Shout out to Arsenal vs City, Liverpool vs City, the Manchester Derby, the Merseyside Derby, the North London Derby, and even Arsenal vs United. They are all fierce rivalries. But United and Liverpool being the two most successful clubs in the history of English football just makes this particular fixture extra special every single time. However, it is important to note that there's still respect between these two fan bases. Liverpool fans once applauded Cristiano Ronaldo after he lost his baby, and we've seen United fans and even players pay tribute to Liverpool in remembrance of the Hillsborough disaster. This is how rivalry should be. The banter's great, but it's also very important to know when to put it all aside for the things that matter. Anyway, we want to hear from you guys now. What are your favorite memories from this super special rivalry? Also, if you support any of these two clubs, make sure to rep them in the comments. Now, while you're still here, if you want to know about the entire history of Manchester United, click this video and we'll tell you all about it.